Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
On time. I will, while we wait for the speaker, okay, I will take this time to comment 2 points for today. We have only one speaker. It's a very important one. We will know about the France plans, okay? But we have today also one special, very special event that is the State of the Union debate on the European, in Brussels, okay? And President Ursula von der Leyen will deliver a speech at 9:15. So our invitation is to join that speech just at that moment. So we will be having the discussion during 45 minutes limit, and after that I will invite you to join that important event. Okay, that's one notice. Okay, and the other is that if we have time, if we are able, we will reserve also 5 minutes for the presentation of a congress that will be held in Bulgaria and joining Romanian clusters next 28 and 29. Okay, so if we have 5 minutes, we will invite either Daniel Korsnita or Theodora to present it. But it's time to start. I don't know if Arnaud has been able to join us. It seems that not yet. I will share now my screen, yes. So let me check the list of attendants. I don't see him. And I don't see Theodora, neither. So, as introduction, okay, you know that this month, we are speaking about recovery plans and industrial ecosystems. We included also the S3, all S3 now S4 a special week, okay? But everything is linked in our case, okay? So we are working on how can this alliance of different actors, but most of them also clusters, okay, can help in the development, the definition and development of the recovery plans, okay? And today we have invited the French government through Arnaud, sorry for the pronunciation, Delannoy, to share with us what are they designing on this point, okay? I don't know if we have, no, it seems that we don't have yet Arnaud. Daniel, are you there? Can you hear me? Daniel Korsnita?
Yes, hello.
Hello, Daniel. I see that you are there, and as we are waiting for Arnaud Delannoy to join us, could we take 5 minutes to present now the event? Okay, I have here the presentation.
Yes, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Daniel Korsnita from the Romanian Cluster Association, and together with Teodora Zhilkova from the Bulgarian Cluster Association, we would like to organize a joint Romanian-Bulgarian cluster event, which will take place on the 28th and 29th of September in a hybrid form, with means physical presence of Romanian and Bulgarian clusters in Bulgaria, and an online conference open to the wider world. We know, and we've been discussing here this for 6 months now, that clusters are pillars of the 14 industrial ecosystems on which the European economy industry is based. And if we know that the recovery plan consists of a green, resilient, and digital recovery. And we have taken for this conference the topic of green, and the event will be part of the EU Green Week series. And because bioeconomy is the topic which touches to several industrial ecosystems like agri-food, like tourism, like low carbon industries, like renewable energies, and like construction and so on, we will focus on this topic of bioeconomy. And Theodora, my colleague Theodora, now very shortly will tell you a little bit more about the organizers and program. Theodora.
Yes, hello.
Welcome.
From my end as well. Thanks for the opportunity and the presentation, Daniel. So this is the organizing alliance of the event, basically the Bulgarian Association of Clusters, the Romanian Association, as well as with the big support of the European Clusters Alliance. We are making all the plans of having physically in the conference. So from the Bulgarian side as well, the Bulgarian small and medium enterprise agencies, they come on board. EEA, you see the other partners who are basically consortiums of dealing with big projects that they will go to showcase in the frame of the conference, touching the bioeconomy and the agri-food topics. This is we are really happy with this opportunity to have these organizations and associations on board and supporting the idea, because for everyone become really important to showcase not only what has been done so far, but to seek opportunities for further developments, especially in this really tough moment. So if we can go on the next slide, Antonio, if possible. Yes, so basically already Daniel said what is the event. It's under the as a partnering event of the EU Green Weeks, and during the day one there will be several discussions on the different angles of this, but there will be also, in addition to the main topic, we are giving an opportunity of other industrial clusters and their current workings and development. And day two is an opportunity for full matchmaking and between the and other organizations. So if we go on, I want to give just very briefly two topics, two important highlights from the program. One is the one during the day one in the morning session. What we are doing, we are implementing this morning meeting in the frame of the event. So there will be a special instructions of joining, but what we want is to give better even voice of what have been done and what we are doing on a daily basis, all of us, and meeting and how the discussions are going. So it is a brilliant opportunity also for associations and government bodies that will be from the Bulgarian and Romanian side to see really what has been done by ECA and DG GROW and what all the important issues and topics. So this that we are kind of looking really forward, because it will be available for all people on site and online. The entire day one will be streamed online as well, so there will be full instructions about link, and everything is already featured on the official website. You see it. So this is something that we are forward to. And on the next slide, it's basically the afternoon sessions that will. This is how we are planning to give a voice of the current projects, how consortiums have been working on the under the main topic of the event, and obviously this will give an opportunity for further discussions and looking for many other cross-sectorial and specific projects. So this is, I think, the main. We will not waste more time with today's session, but thank you very much for this, and we really hope all of you will be with us during the day.
Thank you, Teodora. I will be very pleased to join you there. Physically, it will be a novelty for me, for most of us, I suppose. Okay, and I'm sure that we are very interested there. So I don't know if Arnaud Delaunay has been able to join us.
Hello, yes, I am online.
Hello, bonjour, welcome.
Bonjour.
So thank you, and I will let Hervé Froch introduce you. Hervé?
Yes, Antonio, thank you. Again, thank you to everyone. We are very pleased and I would say honored to have one official from the Ministry of Economy and Finance from France who did accept to show up today on this video to talk about the recovery plan that was officially announced and launched. That was, as far as I remember, Arnaud last week or quite recently, let's say. So Arnaud is from the Directorate General for Enterprise and Competitiveness. He's leading the Direction for Innovation, which is at the core of what we are, all doing on a daily basis, innovating to stimulate the economic activity and hopefully at the end of the day competitiveness of our companies and jobs. So AFPC, the French Association for Pôle de Compétitivité, is now this year celebrating its 15th anniversary, and since the very beginning we have been always working in close cooperation with the this Directorate General to orientate the French policy for innovation and having the cluster entity Pôle de Compétitivité for us playing a key role to stimulate R&D and innovation, and especially in SMEs. So thanks to Arnaud for being with us today, and I leave you the floor to present the French recovery plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hervé, and this was a really good introduction. Indeed, I'm in the Ministry of Economic and Finance and Directorate General for Enterprises and in charge of innovation more specifically. You summarized the key topics that are of interest for us this morning, and I may dwell on these and go in more details on what you just outlined. First, a glimpse of what is the recovery plan and what are the main components, and to see how it is so important in relation to the topics clusters are dealing with. And a second part more geared towards how to implement it, the next steps, and the role of the clusters and French clusters in this plan. So first, some key elements on the emergency and recovery plan. So keywords are it's a major plan for the economy geared towards innovation, competitiveness, and sustainable future. So I may first make recall some elements, because our answer to the crisis has been a three-pronged approach at this stage. So back in February and March, the first aim and the first part of the emergency measures were to make sure that we safeguard household incomes with a plan up to 500 billion euros, and ensure that companies were able to foster to weather the difficulties. So with solidarity funds, state guaranteed loans, partial unemployment scheme. So this was the very first part, and it's important to see the coherence of the different elements. Second part, in May and June, second part of the emergency response was geared towards, oriented towards most affected sectors in the economy, especially aerospace industry, automotive industry, tech industry companies. There were other sectors, but that are perhaps less interest here. But the key thing is that many measures were designed for these sectors, but with a strong emphasis on sustaining research and development and innovation in each of these sectors. And you see that putting the emphasis in tech industry was coherent with this aim. So now, as you highlighted it, there has been a major announcement at the beginning of September. So it's the launching of a comprehensive, targeted, and ambitious recovery plan, with one key underlying assumption, that is a lasting economic impact on the productive capital, and the deterioration of skill set of employees could compromise our growth potential. So besides the emergency, we also have to prepare the future. So to supplement the emergency measures I just recalled, the authorities have presented a 2-year, 100 billion recovery plan. The European Union is set to contribute up to 40 billion euros under the agreement that was reached in July, but all the implementation and the details must be agreed and put in place. But the idea is that European Union will be part of this effort. So the aim of the plan is to support employment in the short term, pave the way for French economy on the horizon of 2030. So in 10 years from now. So we expect an economy that will be greener, more competitive, and more resilient, and more inclusive. So the plan is supposed to play a structural role by supporting the ecological and digital transition, and it's also designed to be part of the government's reform agenda to bolster competitiveness, economic appeal, and productivity, and strengthening our industrial capabilities and resilience. So besides these keywords, there are 3 pillars in this plan. I will be more specific on one of these pillars that is of interest for the cluster, and in which the cluster will have a key role. So the 3 pillars are greening of the economy, skills and social territorial cohesion, and competitiveness and economic resilience. So 30 billion euros will be earmarked to speed up the greening of the economy, for investments in energy performance renovation for buildings, in green infrastructure and mobility, reduce the carbon intensity of manufacturing processes and in the development of new green technologies such as hydrogen, biofuels, or recycling. So this is a very important pillar, and you can see beside its greening is also linked to innovation and transforming our economy. This is the first pillar. Second pillar gears towards skills and social and territorial cohesion for up to 35 billion euros. So it will invest in skills to safeguard employment, especially for young people, help vulnerable groups, because the one aim of the plan is also to ensure that the recovery plan strengthens social cohesion and territorial cohesion, be it also in terms of digital inclusion or revitalizing some urban centers. So I won't be too precise on this one. And the last one is 34 billion euros allocated to boost our competitiveness and economic resilience. Including substantial cuts in production taxes, support for equity capital funding for businesses, investment in industrial innovation, support for exports, and bolstering our industrial resilience and independence through measures to secure a critical stock and support productive investment and trends. So this pillar is of particular interest because when we look at the measures that could be included, we see permanent reduction of taxes on businesses, 1 billion to favor the relocation of industrial production in France in strategic sectors, 3 billion to strengthen the equity capital of SMEs and medium-sized companies, 11 billion dedicated to investment in key technologies through a tested program, the Programme d'Investissement d'Avenir. So it would be a new phase of this Programme d'Investissement d'Avenir, investment for the future, that would be closely articulated with the recovery plan and would be one of these underlying components when it comes to fostering innovation and competitiveness. It would be so the program for investment for the future. This program is focused on research, development, and innovation with two main components going forward. So we expect, in terms of amount, close to 11 billion euros of investment over 2 years and 20 billion over a 5-year period up to 2025. So it will be divided in two main parts. First, a bottom-up envelope, especially targeted at companies that could finance collaborative projects, innovation subsidized for companies, or what we call concours d'innovation that select on some basis some very innovative projects. So this bottom-up envelope builds on existing programs, but give them more depth and size, and a more top-down envelope that would be earmarked to some strategic sectors or key markets for the future. I mentioned already hydrogen, quantum computing, cybersecurity, potentially digital health, recycling and reincorporation of recycled materials, biosourced products, edtech, sustainable filling. So all these themes could be selected and benefit from specific financing to prepare the future and to focus on key technology. So you see this pillar on competitiveness and economic resilience is particularly interesting. So maybe an important word on the French clusters on the building of this program. So I'm not in the implementation, but on the building of the program, it's important to notice that we had contributions from many stakeholders to prepare all these recovery and emergency plans. And the French cluster, the SPC, contributed with a very in-depth analysis of recommendation, range from selecting strategic technologies for the future, detailed recommendation in many sectors such as aeronautics, ecotech, automotive, health, digital economy, smart energy, and so on and so on. So this contribution with all the strength of the ecosystem that they represent are very useful to build such a program, and have been very useful. So the second element is more on the implementation and the role of the clusters going forward. So as already mentioned, one important point to notice is that the plan has been announced quite recently. So there has been a lot of work already, but we are still in the finalization of all the announcements that will be made more precisely over the coming weeks. So not everything is completely detailed, but a few elements. So regarding the implementation of the plan. Implementation will be the key concern of the government, with the priority on the speed of implementation. That's the key, because we need to invest for the future, but we also need to be sure that we have maximum impact in the short term on the economy. Continued consultation with all stakeholders and monitoring of the recovery plan implementation. So with a lot of focus at the highest level, but also at the more territorial, regional level with stakeholders, MPs, and so on and so forth. Regional deployment of the measures will also be a priority. And lastly, the recovery plan should support the more broader government transformation policies serving the transformation of the economy. So these are important elements guiding the implementation of the plan. So what plays for the clusters in the implementation of all these measures? So a reminder, an important reminder, but I think we had already gave some elements. Our French pole de compétitivité is a partnership that is based around a specific team and a specific region. We have more than 50 today. So these pole de compétitivité, competitiveness cluster, or they bring together large and small firms, research bodies, and educational establishments. They will work together in a specific region to develop synergies and cooperative efforts around the shared theme. So one of their goal, the main goal, is to build on synergies and collaborative innovation projects. They cover most sectors of activity, from emerging high-tech fields to more mature sectors. So with all these elements, and one very important element is that they benefit from a label granted by the states to ensure that they are robust and in adequation with the nationwide specification. There is coherence in this label, in this specification. So we are now in the fourth phase of what we call pole de compétitivité. So after 15 years of existence, they are very implemented in the landscape. They are strong partners of public authorities at all levels, regional, European, and of course, national level and with ministries. So they will naturally be involved in the implementation phase of the recovery plan through the ongoing cooperation with all the stakeholders that I just mentioned. They will help companies and their broader ecosystem to put forward collaborative projects that could be eligible to support from the various tools that were mentioned before: financing of collaborative projects, project on field that has been earmarked on specific sectors in which many clusters are active. They will also help and accompany companies to have a better grasp of the opportunities in the recovery plan. So we expect the strong cooperation with the clusters. And as you see, be it in the design of the plan, be it in the things that are put forward in the plan, or be it in the implementation, clusters will have a place in this landscape. So I've already been too long. Sorry, I didn't see the time go on, but thank you very much.
No, you haven't been long. It's a wonderful sample and in fact a guide for the rest of the countries what you have described. So congratulations for the understanding of the capabilities of the cluster and how you are developing those pole the competitivity and the rest of the clusters in your country. But now it's time for hearing questions, comments, contribution from the rest of the attendants. So who wants to be the first? I'm sure that there will be questions.
Antonio?
Hello,
Yes, Ula speaking.
Welcome.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for this presentation, and very interesting. And I liked a lot when you said that the plan was done in with stakeholder consultation, but also that in the next steps you want to continue the stakeholder consultation. So I wonder whether you could elaborate a bit more maybe on how in France you do this stakeholder consultation, and you have pointed out that the pole de competitivité played a major role and you got input from them, because also for us, of course, on European level, I'm speaking for working in DG Grow, it would be interesting how you have managed this stakeholder consultation and making sure that you really get the different views and ideas in. Thank you.
So maybe two elements to your question. The first one is the consultation to elaborate the measures. So the idea was to make sure that every stakeholder interested in contributing could do so. There has been a lot of public statements for representative of industries or sectors, public bodies, regions, and so on and so forth. So the consultation process was wide, and there was a call for it. It was organized in some way because there are many places where there are exchanges of views, so they were used to have this feedback. And I mentioned that ASPC, so the Association of French Clusters, sent some and made public some recommendations. So, but it was there had been all other stakeholder contribution. So this stakeholder consultation was open and has been important for to feed the plan. The second element is the implementation and the consultation. So there are many aspects to this. The most important one is that, as I hinted, there will be a strong focus on the implementation. So we expect a recovery monitoring council that could be chaired by the Prime Minister together with the Minister concerned, social partners, MPs, Member of Parliament, Association of the Elected Representatives from civil society that could monitor the recovery plan's implementation. So these are public elements. I cannot be too precise at this stage because I don't have the detail, but that's an important aspect of what I call consultation and strong monitoring of the implementation. But besides, when it comes to implementation, there will be all these interaction with the ecosystems that will continue and that will be strengthened. And in this regard, I expect that contribution of clusters, be it at the regional, national level, will be important.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup for your answer. Any other question from the attendants?
Yes, Lucia Sale speaking here, cluster expert. I was curious to know whether right now the program for the French folder competitivité is still running. Is it foreseen to continue this program in the next programming period, particularly under the recovery plan?
So, as I mentioned, since the last 15 years, there has been a long history of sustaining and partnering with for the authorities to partner with the French clusters. So there are various phases, and now we are in what we call the phase 4, started in 2019, that goes up to 2022. So we are implementing this program. But as you mentioned, it will be inserted in the new economic context. So all the tools in favor of innovation and research and development, some financing towards a specific sector, that, as I detailed earlier, will have indirectly an impact on the activity of the companies, but also the clusters, the public body, and so on and so forth. But to answer your question, we're still in phase 4 of collaboration of French clusters, and we expect to continue. There will be no, we don't expect to change this.
Thank you very much.
It's very good. You know, I see we have we are sharing in the screen graph that is published in your website, official website, and I see that clusters can contribute also a lot on the ecology pillar, okay, and on the employment goals for sure, and why not also in cohesion. So I really think that the Pôle de Compétitivité and your clusters can be involved also in the other side of the plan.
Yes, sure. It was not to say that they had no impact or no relationship to the other pillars. And as mentioned, I strongly believe that greening of the economy is a generic concept for a goal, but there are a lot of tools besides, and among these, many tools in favor of innovation, new ways of doing things. And in this respect, I imagine that there is a lot of space for dedicated clusters in this regard. When it comes to skills and social and territorial cohesion, you may also be right.
Yeah, and we have had we are lucky because we, as you know, AFPC is vice president of the European Cluster Alliance, and we have had a lot of contributions these years from your country. And for example, we are very, I feel proud of what you are doing, for example, in the social cluster sites, also speaking about cohesion. You are really developing very, very advanced and exemplary programs. I need to say that, okay? If not, it will not be.
Antonio, Hervé speaking.
Yeah.
So, in addition to Arnaud comments. I'd like to emphasize on one very important aspect, which is, I would say, probably one of the most important missions for the cluster and pôle de compétitivité. So there is a fairly recent report that was released from France Stratégie, and who confirm that the action of pôle de compétitivité and let's say cluster in France has been really positive, especially for the SMEs. Okay, for €1 coming from the public power, in front of that, the companies have involved more or less €3 coming from private funding. So which clearly show that this national policy, which is strongly articulated with regions, of course, is really positive for stimulating the R&D in small and medium-sized companies, and this is really key for their competitiveness on the global market right now. So this policy is really strong for that, and it was important for me to remind this here and share this information with you. This is less maybe visible for intermediate size companies and big names, of course, but SMEs are really benefiting directly from that policy, and we should definitely keep that in mind and keep going.
Congratulations for what you are doing. I see that we have Christophe Guichard with us, and I would like to say hello to Christophe.
Hello, Antonio.
Hello, bonjour, Christophe. Would you comment on what had been said? What is your view?
Well, I think it is very impressive to see the involvement of pole of competitiveness and clusters in France in the development and preparation of its national recovery plan. I think it is very reassuring to see that these stakeholders play a key role in defining the priorities and above all, to see that they will be involved in the implementation of the plan. So I think it is, to my view, a very good example for inspiration for other countries to build upon, and to see the role of clusters to play in the transformation of industry, especially to cope with the crisis and to support SMEs with maximum impact in a short term. That I think is also a key role that clusters can play, and this is well acknowledged in the development of this plan.
I totally agree. I think that this is probably the best samples that I know of until now. So congratulations for what you are doing. I need to, at the beginning of the session, I told to those that were here, I don't know if you were here, that we have today a special timing, okay, because there is one critical event that is starting in 2 minutes, that is the State of the Union discuss. So I need to close, okay? I invite you to join this event. You have the link in the screen. I will share it now with you in the chat, okay? And so we will follow what our European authorities will share with us in very few moments, okay? But sorry, I need to change the, yeah. But I really want to thank you for your participation, especially Arnaud, also Hervé for helping us to organize Hervé, Pauline, all the Paul, the Competitivity Association, for helping us to organize this meeting, and for sure DigiGrow. And I will be really glad to know more. I think that we need to organize at any moment that we can, another session to hear about the proposals of the AFPC for the French recovery plan and how is it developing. It is extremely interesting for us. So congratulations for what you are doing. Thank you for coming today. And I want to close encouraging you to join the event now, the State of the Union discuss. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you all.
Merci
Have a nice
beaucoup.
day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Merci, Arnaud.